At the beginning of 2025, I'm sure you had at least a few goals, dreams, plans that you wanted to achieve this year. You probably had that fiery momentum that we all tend to have at the beginning of the year. But now here we are in the middle of the year, and you may have found that your fire has sort of fizzled out. That is okay. It happens to all of us at some point. We cannot operate at 100% every single day. So your best will differ from day to day. But just because you may have taken a detour doesn't mean that you can't still reach your destination. My simple 7-step restart is the life audit that you've been looking for to help you lock in and become unrecognizable before 2026. Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back for another video. I'm Jaden if you're new here, and if not, hey girl, it's good to see you again. On this channel, we talk about mindset, self-development, and how to become the best versions of ourselves from the inside out. So subscribe if you vibe, hit that like button and the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. And if you didn't know, I'm also a women's mindset and confidence coach. So if you would like more from me than just my YouTube videos, I have a freebie, I have an ebook, and I have a course that I just recently released on dark feminine energy, and all that will be down in the description for you. Okay, so restart. What do I mean by that? The R in restart and the first step in this process stands for reflect. To truly know where you are and where you're going, you need to reflect and look back at your year thus far to see where you've done well, where you have maybe slacked off a little bit, where you need some more discipline, where you need to take more breaks. If you don't reflect, then you won't have a good gauge on how much more is required to achieve your goals. E is for evaluate. This is where you're really going to need to use your self-awareness, because it's right here in this step that you need to be brutally honest with yourself and take a true eval of yourself, your habits, your systems, your excuses to determine why you haven't accomplished as much as you would have liked by now, and to establish your why. There's a reason that you're desiring more change. It's not just so that you can have better outfits or do better makeup or have shinier hair or look hotter. No, it goes much deeper than just those surface level reasons that you may initially think of. Now, you may very well want to look hotter, but what exactly does that mean for you? In what way? Because when you say look hotter, it could be so many different things, but deep down below the surface, it's probably due to some trigger, some insecurity as to why you want to look better. So I highly suggest journaling, doing some shadow work to figure out what the root is beneath your desires. Because we may think that what we want is shallow and superficial and external material, but we want those things for deeper reasons. Your desires aren't silly, they aren't superficial, but you do need to dig deep enough to really figure out why you want what you want. And coming up with your why is what's going to keep you motivated to transform your current circumstances into your future fantasy. Now, the S is for strategize. After you have reflected on the first half of the year, honestly evaluated yourself and established your why, you are going to strategize. This is where you're going to come up with the best strategy for you, your schedule, and your energy levels. Because while this is all about transformation, you also want to make sure that it is sustainable. Because if it's not, you'll burn out before you really get to tap into your potential. Now, the T is for time. In this part of the process, you're going to figure out what kind of timeline you're wanting to achieve this by. It could be in 3 months, it could be by the end of the year, it could be whenever you want. But this timeline is also going to help keep you accountable because it is a measurable way to see and observe how much progress you're really making. Because when we have no deadline for ourselves, it's easy to just keep floating through life the way you have been without making nearly as much progress as you think, because you're just taking it day by day instead of knowing, hey, I want to get this accomplished by the end of the year. So that means that I have this many months left to do that. If you don't have that end goal, that deadline in sight, then it's easy to just keep pushing it off and pushing it off. And my perfectionist, this is definitely for you. I'm a recovering perfectionist as well. And we've got to give ourselves a deadline because we will just continue revising and editing and trying to make it perfect, make ourselves perfect, whatever the goal is, for way too long. Just get it out there. Just create the thing, and you can work on perfecting it later. So I highly recommend getting a journal or a planner where you can write all of your goals down. Don't write just the big goals, the long-term ones. Get super specific and write down your weekly and your daily goals as well. This is going to help you stay on track to become 1% better every single day. Now, the A in restart is for act. This is arguably the most important step, because if you do not act, if you do not implement the plan, the strategy that you have prepared, then none of the rest of it matters. You're not going to become the person you want to be or have the things you desire, because if you don't put any sort of effort and action toward that, how could you have it? Yes, praying is amazing. Doing your rituals, your manifestations is amazing, but you have to act at the end of the day. Now, this next one is simple. The R is for repeat. Once you've done all the work prior to this and figured out where you're slacking and how and what you can do to improve, and the actions that will help you make progress, now all you have to do is repeat. Now, this step and the action step are the ones that trip most people up, because it's not always easy to hold ourselves accountable. And because once we've established the new habits that we know are going to help us out, sometimes we get bored because we realize that the way in which we're going to achieve the big flashy goals is actually by maintaining a mundane daily routine. So repetition is not sexy, but the result is. So you're going to be so happy with yourself once you actually commit and act and repeat long enough to see results. The seventh and final step in my simple process is T for trust. You have to trust that following this not easy but simple 7-step process is going to help you become the version of yourself that you've been wanting to be and manifest the life that you want. Because it will. You can absolutely become your higher self with these steps and manifest your desires. But it probably won't happen overnight. So just because you're not seeing results immediately doesn't mean that nothing is happening behind the scenes, under the surface. We don't see all the progress that's made. There's a reason why when someone's on a weight loss journey and they've lost maybe 20 pounds, when they look in the mirror every day, they're not seeing, oh, wow, I've lost 20 pounds. Like, look, I look totally different. No, because we get used to seeing ourselves every day. This is why progress pictures are so important on a weight loss journey, for example, because when you look back at the photo, that's a snapshot in time of where you started versus what you look like after you've lost that 20 pounds or gained 20 pounds of muscle, you are going to be so shocked and made aware of all the changes that you've actually made that you weren't quite conscious of on a day-to-day basis. So think of it like that. Also, think of it like a plant. You don't get a seed, plant it, and then put a little water on it and say, okay, grow right now. I better see you sprout it out tomorrow, little plant. We don't do that. So why do we expect ourselves to be able to blossom that quickly? It takes time. It takes nurturing. It takes water here, some sunlight there, some time to rest here. You don't plant a seed and then get a full grown plant the next day. So why are you expecting yourself to have been the version you've been for however many years and then deciding you want to implement change and that tomorrow you need to be the highest version of yourself? That is why you're disappointed. That's why you think you can't maintain anything. It's not because you can't actually do it. It's because you're expecting too much from yourself too soon. I am absolutely guilty of this as well. Like, trust and believe. I am trying to not be a perfectionist anymore. So it's really easy to look in the future and see how far you still have to go. But don't forget to look back and appreciate all the progress that you have made thus far. Because you are a version of yourself right now that your younger self would look up to, admire, and respect. That's what we want. We want to be able to look back and see our evolution, our growth. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So having faith in yourself and your dreams, regardless of whether anyone else does, is that perfect dose of delusion It's going to get you everything you desire. So do not give up, okay? Okay. We still have plenty of time in 2025 to make the most of this year. But also don't forget to rest and recover. Because if there is no rest, then there is no growth. You cannot always be pushing yourself to continue to do inner work and learn all the things and listen to all the podcasts and read all the books. You have to take a time out to really let what you've learned soak in and to let life unfold so that you can implement what you've learned in the real world as a practice instead of just as a concept. That doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. That's how life is meant to be. So please try to enjoy the ride. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with a friend who you think needs it. Don't forget that you can also get any of my offerings, paid or free, as well as book a coaching call with me down in the links in the description. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next video. YouTube thinks that you will like this video next. Mwah.